Welcome back to the Never Ending Adventure podcast. My name is DJ Netty P. And his name is Rusty Tindy T. And he's not talking today. And he says, not talking today. Sorry, Ned, in our chat bubble. And he's showing me his titty through his shirt. He's unbuttoning his... Now he's taking off his pants. Oh, no. Now he's naked. No, he's not going to talk today. So,
dude, come on, quiet game. Come on,
quiet game. Actually, I was going to bring that up. So, if you can't tell at this point, either from starting the podcast with the title, we're talking about.
I have my clothes on. I gotta just say, I'm fully clothed.
No, he's not.
There was no boob action happening over here. Welcome to the podcast. This is Never Ending Adventure, of course, as you know. Yes, Nettie loves this show.
As you know, we always do very bad cold intros.
Stupid bits.
Stupid bits that are stupid. And that was our good one. That was actually, that was clever. He did not send me our little chat bubble until we started. So I didn't know he was going to be doing the quiet game until I started in my intro. So,
well, what in the world? Why would I do that, Ned? I think it's because we're, of course, reviewing the Adventure Time episode, season 5, episode 20, SHH! Exclamation point, also known as shh, which is everybody's favorite thing for someone to do into a microphone, into their ears on a podcast. And yeah, I mean, interesting game, interesting day. Poor BMO. I'll go ahead and say that. Finn and Jake are just being goofballs and doing the quiet game all day, or trying to. And it's hard not to feel a little nostalgic watching an episode about the quiet game.
Yeah.
And isn't it just the worst game ever? And also the best game? Because I would always beat, I think in my memory, I'd always beat my sister at the quiet game.
Well, let's be honest. The quiet game existed so parents could sit in the car and be like, there's a competition. Who can shut the fuck up? The
real winners are the parents.
The real winners are the parents that got a little bit of peace and quiet throughout this the quiet game adventure,
which I don't think it ever was that quiet in my memory. It's almost always like immediately giving up, and then it just creates arguments and almost makes us bicker more. Why do we bicker so much with our siblings? How ridiculous! I don't know.
It's got to be built into some sort of evolutionary DNA. If you think about it, if you
think
really
it's just so much time with someone that, like, you know, you don't really have a choice when you're that young. But hopefully you love your siblings like I do. But also, like, there's just so much time always in each other's space, or almost, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Not that I ever did that. Not that the older brother would ever pick on the younger sister.
Never.
And I definitely never made her cry. I mean, she was always crying on purpose to get me in trouble. So that was so goofy of her. I can't believe she would do that.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, though, because there is the sibling aspect of it. But I thought about this episode a lot with just childhood games. Like, they're playing this quiet game, which I'm like, dude, it just brings back this mentality that with Adventure Time, we've got these crazy epic adventures and we're flying on birds with goblins that are tripping acid. And then all of a sudden we get a treehouse episode. And I was like, man, this is quintessential treehouse episode. And what brings that vibe is the fact that they're just playing a game. They're just like, hey, make believe, boom, we got this game going. And I was going to ask you, like, I've got a couple of examples if you need me to kick this off, but like just examples of childhood games that stuck with you when you were an adult and you're like, holy shit, like, why was that so much fun as a kid? But like, why would I never do that as an adult? You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I mean, like,
or like
pre-airsoft, us really having a lot of Nerf guns. I mean, it was really just whatever you could find around the house was your weapon. And then, like, one team starts in the basement, the other team starts all the way upstairs, and you just have like a little turf war with projectiles, which I'm sure wasn't
that's so cool.
I don't know. We didn't do it super often, but that's definitely a good memory I have of like running around the house. And that's definitely a Kevin hurting me me hurting my sister type of, there's a...
probably, well, and that lives in that Dirt Clod Wars. You probably did a lot of Dirt Clod Wars too.
What is that?
You never did Dirt Clod Wars?
What is that?
Like anytime you were outside, and I don't know, maybe just because two of my friends growing up, two brothers that I was good friends with, they lived on this big farm. And so their dad would always just have it's just two brothers.
Okay.
Their dad with that Rick and Morty reference for those who don't know.
I'm sorry, y'all.
He'd always, I don't know, be doing projects and have like these mounds of dirt or be moving dirt around, be digging something up. And the dirt would clod up into after rain, into like a handful. And you could grab it and yuck it like a baseball. Oh. And it would just like explode on somebody. So you just have you literally just go outside and just huck dirt clods at people.
Ned, were you poor? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know how you've never heard of Dirt Clod War before, but
you weren't poor. We both know that. But also,
I thought that was a universal with young boy experience with imaginary play.
When the yard is being aerated or whatever, and you get the little
exactly.
We would throw that at each other for sure.
That was Dirt Clod War.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. I guess we did that without having a name for it. I mean, all sorts of games like that. There wasn't anything else that super sticks out in my mind, but I definitely remember having a football game where you couldn't stand. You had to walk on your knees because it was inside the house. And you were playing with a little soft football. Really, it was just an excuse for probably Kevin to tackle
beat
me.
The shit honestly. Out of you.
Yeah, probably so. And then just all sorts of just whatever. I mean, that's the beauty of being a kid and having that wild imagination and also so much time and boredom is you just come up with the dumbest games. And we brought that for sure freshman year of the college, where we had a game where there was a hole in the kitchen and we didn't know where it went, but we would sit on the other side of the kitchen and in the dorms and just flick Skittles and trying to get as close to the hole or in the hole as you could. And we have no idea where. I mean, probably terrible. I'm sure there's a bunch of Skittles just rotting in the dorm because of us. But all sorts of games.
In high school, we had that, almost the equivalent of that, where as a kid, there's a lot more imagination involved. And then I guess in the Finn and Jake's world involved, it's that they're not imagining. They're not doing like they did in the last, Imagination Knife Storm episode. This is a little bit more intricate with some props. And what we did in high school was everybody chewed 5 gum. It was the cool thing to have a pack of 5 gum on you all the time. We all had minty fresh breath. We would actually finish our 5 packs of gum, and in study hall we'd pack them full of rocks and paper, and we'd turn them into little frisbees, and we'd play gum golf around campus and just flick these fuckers 100 yards, again, it's this weird progression. And man, that was my deep thought. We're not even talked about this episode much because
we should talk about Adventure Time.
It's relatively simple, but man, it's the fact that where did we lose the play, man? And that's why I love this episode. That's why I love Adventure Time, is it makes us as adults watching the show, as most of our fans listening to us right now, it brings us back into that section of childhood, or Finn being 13 years old here, where that's just a fun day, dude. That's just fun to just
it's a great day
around and have fun with your friends.
You got to bring your third roommate. If you got a third roommate, bring them into the bit
and scare the shit out
let them know what's happening beforehand, because BMO very sadly in this episode has absolutely no idea what's going on. So that's an issue. But I will say, Finn, to do all these fun things, to have that great fun time, you got to have a friend, a sibling who is just game for whatever. Yeah, we're bored. Let's make something fun. The night before, he sees Jake across the room making signs, and he just preps a couple signs. He's just I don't know what's going on, why we're doing this, but I'm game. I am down for this.
Down to clown all the time.
Let's go. Whatever this is, it's going to be fun. And it doesn't even pay off until the next morning, of course, when Jake's just not talking today. I made a bunch of signs. Why were you making signs? Oh, because of me. Sweet. Let's go. It starts like that. And they don't even use many of the signs that they make that night before. They end up just going, all right, we got 30 seconds to make a whole bunch of signs. And after that, that's all you can use for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's a genius idea too, and I love that the stakes are whoever loses will just be really disappointed.
Really disappointed.
It's different than our Card Wars episode where it was like the dweeb and the cool guy. I thought it was going to be, like even rewatching it, I'm like, oh yeah, there'll be like a dweeb and a cool guy, but they're like, no, it would just be really disappointed.
And then at the end it pays off, right? Because Finn's just like, oh, and you're so disappointed. You're
so disappointed in yourself right now.
Yeah, this is really goofy of me, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it at the top of the episode. Ned, I rewatched this episode, and I counted all of the signs. I was just so curious how many signs that we had.
Oh man, that's dedication.
It wasn't insane. It's a lot less than you think. I mean, the signs are coming pretty quick in moments, but then overall, like they kind of reuse some signs. So I didn't.
Well, I was going to say you had to have been looking hard to like not count the reused ones. Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, this is not, I'm not going to say this is the official put it on the wiki type thing, but this is from my observation from just like one time watching through, pausing and counting up, using a Magic the Gathering life meter. I was just clicking the screen to count for each of them. So within 30 seconds, and this is if you don't include the message that they cut up and leave on the board to try and say like, hey, BMO, we love you. We're just playing a game. Like, come on out. It's the real Finn and Jake. If you don't count those for right now, Finn made 28 messages or 28 boards of paper.
Yeah, actually, that is less than I expected.
But that's still like a freaking message a second, and he's all over the place. Lots of compliments for Jake. Lots of, hi, Jake, you're so encouraging. Wonderful
I was like,
friend.
hi, Jake. No, Jake. Don't do that, Jake.
Yeah,
good job, Jake.
You're the best. Jake, you're beautiful. And then Jake has 14, which is really surprising because the first time I watched it, I was like, holy crap, Jake just like, in that first scene, they're eating breakfast at the table and he just goes ham with all the different things. Like, how were the eggs? Like, what'd you think of the tea?
Wait, Jake only makes 4. So even when that scene where Finn holds them all up together.
Those are Fins.
Those are Fins? Out of his 28?
Yeah, of course. Those are all Fins.
I got confused at that scene because those were. You remember Jake like sets the skull down on his pile and is like, "Don't touch my cards." Well, Finn's over there messing with his cards. Yes. So I thought he was trying to mix his cards with Jake's cards.
I think he was. I mean, he intentionally knew that he was going to do this, right? Like he had signs that wrote out, "Jake, what are you implying that I'm touching your signs after being expressly forbidden to do so?" So like he absolutely knew that his long-term goal would eventually bring him into messing with Jake's signs.
So you're saying Finn played the long game. Like, although he faked it at the beginning, he only had a few of them. He had like the end game cards like ready to go.
No, yeah, of course. And even crazier than that, like he was planning on them not having a sign for BMO the entire time. Like Finn has a sign that says, "What are we going to do about BMO?" Like he planned for an issue to pop up where neither one of them wrote signs for BMO. But yeah, the way I could confirm this is one, and I might get it mixed up now because it's been a minute since I was looking at it. I believe Finn always writes in all caps and Jake writes in caps and uncaps, but then also the colors are different. I mean, Finn's colored paper is a little bit more yellow than Jake's is. So that's how you can kind of keep them separate.
Yeah. It's actually kind of a nice thing because you can kind of, once they mix them up, they can kind of like, they're really trying to bounce off each other. And, that's the end, like part of that scene is that they make this long message for BMO to try, which I thought was like, man, the sweetest part of the episode too, is that they were like,
give
we're
up
just
on
playing
that
a
real
game.
fast though.
Yeah.
They go, let's get the axes.
I thought that the writing the message and then chopping down the wall, I mean, actually both of those are direct references to The Shining. The Shining one, obviously, if you haven't seen The Shining, literally go watch it. It's not that scary.
I have not seen it.
It's such a good movie. People literally are like, "Oh, it's the scariest movie I've ever seen." It was really scary in the like late 80s. It's scary in its own sense. It's very unnerving. Stanley Kubrick does some insane videography work as well. When it comes to like trippy shots, but the apex of that movie is when he cuts the door down. He's gone so crazy that he's trying to kill his wife. And he cuts the bathroom door down with an axe. So that's the reference here. But before that, in The Shining, he's supposed to be up at this hotel writing a book. And while he's writing the book, he's on a typewriter, basically just typing out all play and all work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy. And so I think it's funny that there was this scene where they tried to write the message down first. And then when they can't convey the message that, they're trying to convey, they go crazy and start chopping down the wall. It's very Shining-esque.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I actually did not get that reference, but I, of course, knew it was far too dramatic to be doing or drastic of a measure. But I will say they were crossing axes. And if there's anything I know from, Ghostbusters is you shouldn't be crossing axes or streams. So
I've never seen the original Ghostbusters. That's a big gap. Yeah, that's a big gap for me, honestly, with my moviness.
I feel like, I don't know. That's not that bad. Watch it this fall. Maybe we'll do something.
Yeah, I'll put that on my Halloween list. That's a good Halloween one to watch this fall.
It is a good Halloween one. I watched it when I was covering pumpkins for the first time I covered a pumpkin. First time that me and Allie did pumpkin carving together for our tradition.
Nice.
We put that on, and that was the first time I had watched that.
We're getting into the hot summer, funny. And now you're making me crave Halloween season.
No, we can't. Can't get in the fall. We gotta enjoy the summer. We got our summer bods going, Ned.
No, we're both working out a lot.
No,
getting summer bads.
So terrible. Just to end my thing about the signs. Finn, in addition to that, within the message that we were just talking about, Finn has another 8 perfect square or rectangles, which I would count as a sign that he wrote beforehand, and Jake has another 11. So, it does put Finn well over 30 signs within 30 seconds. It's goofy. I don't know. I just wanted to spend some time and look into that because I was really curious.
Impressive. I think if somebody who owns the wiki follows this podcast, can you update the wiki with Russell's numbers, please?
Yeah. I was really into counting this episode. I also counted the number of bikini babes.
Uh-oh, how many bikini babes do we have?
There were 13 bikini babes at one point all on screen at the same time, which is no wonder when the axes came out, they were crossing streams and they made a giant...
crossing streams.
They made a giant hole in the wall that eventually broke down the roof and all the bikini babes fell through. No surprise there. There's so many of them. How'd they get on the roof? They flew, of course.
They flew.
Super lightweight and they can fly.
It's a good segue into our Bikini Babes portion of the show.
Yeah.
Because they had to have been your sexy character, right?
Ned, you can't do that to me. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Bikini Babes were my sexy character, whatever, dude. Yeah, sure. But, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, the Bikini Babes are so sexy. Especially the one in the green bikini. I'm not.
You would never do something like that.
I'm not going to do that.
Never do that.
I can't. And here's the thing. They're really, really lightweight. I'm worried for them. They clearly fell from 3 floors or however high that ceiling was and didn't harm themselves. I think because of how lightweight they are, because they can fly by flapping their hands.
They can fly by flapping their hands.
Unless it's magic.
You remember when that one tackles Jake and they almost seem to be rolling in this weird moon gravity slow motion. And that's why Finn and Jake also in the fight scene with the Bikini Babes, they just keep yeeting them across the room. Literally, they almost are throwing them as if they were styrofoam. So I guess it might, theoretically speaking of this episode,
theoretically speaking,
is that the Bikini Babes are some hybrid form bird and bird person mixture again. Or something created by the party god, because the party god shows up at the end. Party god obviously flies around, so they have some sort of lightened fly around vibe. I don't know, but mine is that they come from some sort of cloud style kingdom where they don't live on the ground. Lightweight. Yeah, you got to be lightweight. You get something like that, because there's a separate another episode where there's water nymphs, and they're basically the water bikini babes and mermaids. So these are maybe the sky mermaids.
I like that. Here's the thing though. why would one be able to tackle Jake and knock him to the ground if they're that lightweight, right? No mass, no. But I think the simple like explanation for that is, well, Jake wasn't fighting that, dude. like Jake's like, oh no, you tackled me, bikini babe.
I think it was again, this maybe goes along with it theoretically speaking, but they're not hurt by these bikini babes except for what they're throwing at them. But that one's got like Jake pinned down, is like punch him in the face, but like nothing's happening. So again, that kind of
it's not till they pinch. Not until they pinch him that he starts to scream and he becomes very disappointed.
And pinching doesn't have to do with like how big my muscles are. Like that's going to hurt no matter what.
I mean, there's even a scene where two bikini babes are holding onto the arms of Jake and doing a weird humping motion toward Jake.
I saw that too. I saw that too. It was the fact that when this fight starts, BMO kicks on his favorite
song. Yeah, they start
again, and then I think I would imagine it kind of plays faster. So like BMO's like changing the pace of the song. So it's like they start a fight, but then the bikini babes are so like themselves that they like can't help but like start playing beach volleyball and start dancing, and the whole thing just turns into a dance party by proxy.
I do have a Jake mistake right there though, because they start playing volleyball with without you. What are you doing?
Making bacon pancakes.
Oh, there it is. That's what he's doing.
I was waiting on you. Yeah, I was waiting on you.
Okay. Without Jake turning into a volleyball, he just stays in his normal form. I mean, he could have rolled up, but maybe I don't know. Maybe he has a reason for it. Maybe it was just funnier that way.
It's not too bad. I had another Jake mistake actually of this episode too.
Okay. Making bacon pancakes.
Oh, twice? Jeez,
yeah, we're gonna do a double Jake mistake because. Away from the bikini babes, I will wrap up that topic because I
get it. They're your sexy character. Your sexy character, of course.
They have to be.
Yeah.
My Jake mistake though is that
that's married.
Jake, well, you're engaged.
I'm just messing.
I don't know. My wife doesn't listen to my podcast, so it doesn't matter.
It's a dog. It's a cartoon. Anyways.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Look, let's just remind everybody that on the very first episode, our sexy character was Mr. Cupcake. So,
it's true. Yes.
All sorts of characters are sexy.
Use that as your base point of our sexy character segment, is that the first ever was Mr. Cupcake. Mm-hmm. So, but my Jake mistake is that, and this is maybe a little bit more legit than yours, but okay, Jake can stretch, right? Mm. He can. And we've seen him do it in certain instances, like stretch and spell things out with his hands. So like he's kind of at an advantage that like if he didn't want to talk, he could like spell out a message to BMO or Finn like with his stretchy powers.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
And like maybe that would be cheating. Maybe that'd be against their rules, so you can only use the cards that
I think it's against you've written. The rules, yeah.
Okay,
communication only by the signs, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. It is one of those ones where it would be one of those like the loopholes in their contest per se. In my opinion.
No,
but he wouldn't have broken it.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my only thought. But the bikini babes, they were not my lovelies of the episode. I think my lovely of the episode though.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Has to be Party God. Coming in
Party God at the very end. Yeah.
At the very end. I think Party God is like, now he comes off in later seasons. He is an asshole, like totally. But at least at this point, and then just being like the concept of the Party God showing up whenever there's a bikini babe party, the Party God's there. That's so funny to me.
I hope that happens. I hope is that going to continue to happen throughout the show, or is that just an observation that?
No, there is something of like when there's a really good party, the Party God shows up. Like that's actually like I think it has to be some sort of like universal vibration, something or other. But that Party God has to be where the best party is, and it's not a great party until the Party God's there.
I mean, look, I love a dance party, but that song doesn't really make me want to dance, and I very quickly looked it up, and I really didn't spend much time. You might have more information on that song than I do, but it's related to one of the writers or something. I think it's her band.
Yeah, it's a song called No Wonder I, and it's a song by a band called Lake, all capital letters. Again, a good reference to Finn writing in all capital letters.
Yeah.
But the band includes Ashley Erickson, who is actually the singer of the Adventure Time credits theme. So you can actually kind of hear the voice in the Come Along With Me song. It's the same voice when.
Well, I love that. That's really cool.
So it's a cool thing. I don't know. Again, I'll leave it up to our research for the rest of the show, whether or not we get another Ashley Erickson song. But I think at least it doesn't make me want to dance. But I mean, dude, I was going to ask you, like, I feel like this is a very indie music Russell song.
It's, I think I described it, or how I would have described it in the past, as indie sad girl pop or something like that. I do like it. I gotta admit. I mean, as far as like that genre is a genre that I do really love. If that's even a genre, I guess it's really just indie pop more than anything. But it has that depressing kind of minor key vibe to it. It's not really doing it for me personally. There's just so many other songs that we hear on the show that I really love. I miss, because I think they've started to change the outro song. I already missed that outro song.
We've had some different ones because we're coming off of James Baxter too, and James Baxter had the alto ending. This one has an alternate ending song as well. So I think they're just trying new things. Trust me, the song doesn't go away.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, I think we just had a couple episodes where the animators are all having like a good time and having fun.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Well, let me bring up my lovely as we continue to move through this episode a little bit. You don't have to do it again, Ned. I saw you moving.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Oh, I'm going for it.
You didn't have to do that. We need to take those buttons away from you.
Well, I'm going to button them up, guys.
TJ Cowboy Hat needs to have the buttons again. The typewriter guy is my lovely for this episode.
Oh yeah, he was on my like runner-ups list there.
Yeah, he's a little Dr. Seussian, I guess is how I would describe him.
Yeah, actually, but I would say the spider was a little Dr. Seussian as well.
For sure.
Definitely kind of like different animation, but
I need him to get out and explore though, because he's just stuck in the wall and he's just like, there's nothing going on here. Like the wall is so boring.
Yeah. Do you think that was something in regards to, I mean, my gut feeling on it was like regards to the homage of like writers that never get to see, they're not in the storyboard room. They're not in the animation room. They're just writing dialogue.
I like that. They're making something so imaginative and beautiful, and yet like their job is probably just sitting there writing,
Yeah, because remember he says like, what's the sign say? Things in the wall are so bland, pretty much is what he says. Like
pretty much.
But they're obviously not. There's this like spider. There's this rats that have this routine. There is
I don't know. The mice are basically just running on a wheel for no reason. It's not connected to anything. It's not providing.
Yeah, just like maybe the mom's giving them some exercise.
Power. I guess so. I mean, she's
cranking the wheel.
My theoretically, but again, why in the world are they cranking the wheel? Why are they running on it? Anyways, theoretically speaking,
it's a hamster thing. That is the exercise. If you live in a wall,
just for exercise,
you got to get exercise. If you got to be able to run away from cats and stuff.
I'm thinking about K&D, and I'm thinking about like they need to be providing power to the treehouse.
But we need to be optimizing this rat slave labor in our
optimize
walls.
The rats or the mice or whatever they were. Why are they not blind? I thought all mice were blind.
I thought there were 3 blind mice in the wall.
I thought there were 3 of them. There was one for every color of the rainbow. But no, so my lovely for this episode is the typewriter guy. My theoretically speaking for this episode is terrible. So yeah, we'll just go ham on these buttons today.
Buttons today.
That house. That house be stinky. That's all I'm saying. I mean, where's that typewriter guy pooping? He's pooping in between the walls. Where there's the mice, they're pooping in between the walls. Where one of the mice dies.
Too much going on in these walls, unless there's a nice, not central plumbing, but pseudo plumbing.
You think they have their own like secret toilet?
They might. They really might, though. With all the pipes running through those walls too. Well, in that topic too, you know what this gave me vibes of, man? Did you ever grow up like watching Tom and Jerry?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so like every time that we had one of these episodes where like Jerry runs into the mouse hole, there's this awesome either sub universe where he's created the best like home in the wall that's like the coziest thing you've ever seen, or it looks like this episode and he's like using everything that's been shoved in the wall as like to his advantage, like forks and and I was just like, man, I do love this aspect of this episode that it gives me this Tom and Jerry like rat hole in the wall vibe.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. No, that's great. I really hadn't made that connection personally. Mostly because there isn't like a Jerry in this episode, except for if you count Finn and Jake as a Jerry kind of chasing BMO in and out of the wall.
Well,
sure. And they do this.
Tom's the cat. You can count BMO as the Jerry, like hiding in the
wall. Did
I
just say that? I think I just said that.
Yeah, you said Jerry.
Did I have it backwards?
Jerry.
I thought was backwards. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm dumb. It's been a long day. I worked before this. I
work.
I don't know. I worked before this, and things are stressful at my company I work for. But anyways, so yeah, and also at one point they used a bunch of hard drives to like in a fan to make BMO come out of the wall because of the smell.
Well,
of all the hard drives.
It had the smell. Like what do you call it? Smell lines, the little like smoke.
Yeah,
and that's such a classic like Looney Tunes Tom and Jerry.
Of course, BMO falls for
with
it
the pie in the window. You know,
except for usually you would see BMO like floating through midair with his knees kind of bent. And he's just following his nose with his eyes closed. This does, confirm that BMO can smell. I'm not sure we knew that before this.
Yeah,
so that's fun.
It's very interesting, unless it's some sort of electrical impulse. I don't know, but yes, BMO probably, can. I wouldn't put it past BMO to be able to have scent receptors built into him. You know,
pretty high.
That doesn't like surprise me or anything like that. So. Yeah, I don't know, man. But like I said, it just gives you like you've asked me, I think about 4 episodes in a row about treehouse. Is this a treehouse episode? Like, do you think this is it? This is like hitting the hammer on the head of like everything stays there. It's cozy. It's warm. It has elements of like old cartoons like Tom and Jerry, like Looney Tunes. It's got bikini babes. So although it being a very non-canonical, it does not miss the mark on being in line with season 5, in my opinion, too.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. I think it's definitely one that I will rewatch whenever I go back through this show. But it's not one that I'm going to like be thinking of weeks later. And I'm just like, man, what a crazy episode that was. Which, that's fine.
Which is totally fine. Again, it doesn't match. I think at this point, our best Treehouse episode might be BMO Noir. It's really going to be hard to beat that one too.
That's a freaking good episode.
Yeah.
And this was actually dedicated. You might have the notes on this, Ned.
I didn't. I know what you're going to say. I didn't take down as many notes, but it's a good thing to call out.
Yeah, for sure. So this is dedicated to animator and writer Armin Mirzayan. I don't know how to say his last name.
I think it's Marzian or Marzian.
Yeah, I would believe
something in there.
But anyways, an animator, I think he was a storyboard writer for Adventure Time who passed away, and they dedicated this episode to him, which is pretty awesome. He's worked on Cat Dog, My Gym Partner is a Monkey, and The Life and Times of Juniper Lee, and I'm sure plenty of other things. But some episodes that he is credited for storyboarding on are What is Life, Business Time, and The Jiggler.
Yeah, which I mean, still, I love this episode. It's dedicated to him. Jiggler's not my favorite episode. I do love Business Time though. That's a great one. But it's cool. I love, again, that kind of, I love this cred to, shout out to him and respect for his life and work through an episode that is, again, it embodies Adventure Time. I feel like that's why I love episodes like this, is that we can get really fun and canonical. And that's where everybody loves to live in that world. Everybody forgets to live in the world where it's just like, it's fun to just have an adventure like this. It's like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And this is kind of the vibe I was hoping for, if I'm being entirely honest with you. Like for whatever reason, whether it's just things being stressful outside of Adventure Time for me right now, like coming in here and watching an episode where Finn and Jake were just being two brothers having a good time, like playing a silent game. It just felt like the right vibe for me this week. So I'm kind of really pumped that this was the episode that we got to talk about.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And this, I've got a better recommendation, but like this goes on that sometimes it's nice to just be quiet. I've noticed more, and it's been, I mean, I can attribute it to some TikTok and Instagram stuff, and like trying to squeeze in more workouts in the day and working. Like the moments where not only are things quiet, like actually physically, but there's no next step, there's no next goal, there's no I've got to get this done. And that's, I think, again, this beauty of Adventure Time, that it can take you into this like separate, like, man, like Finn and Jake love life even when it's simple. And that's why these simple episodes are such a good, we're not always striving towards some crazy goal. Sometimes we're just like, life's great when it's just you in your house on a Sunday playing a game. That's good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like I have some really good takeaways from this episode, like my lessons for this episode.
I was going to say, you said takeaways. That's another word for your lessons of the episode.
I mean, my first one, obviously, I mean, basically the same thing you were just saying. Never cross streams is for sure the main lesson I'm taking away.
Always cross streams.
Always, yeah. If you and a buddy swing axes that are crossing over each other, it just doubles the power of your axe.
Ultimate bonding.
Ultimate bonding. Each of you gets advantage roll to your axe swings, and also +3 against the opponent's armor class. So I would highly recommend don't do that. It's so dangerous.
We're going to confuse all of the women that don't know what we're actually even talking about.
Women what? Come on. It's not like, what are you saying?
I can say I can almost guarantee you that not many women out there have ever crossed streams, but most guys probably have. Let's just say that.
I thought you were trying to imply that women don't play D&D because I was making D&D
No. I was implying that women don't cross streams, or it's physically really, really, really hard for them to.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. My heart just stopped. I was like, Todd, this is it. The podcast is over.
No, I know more women that play D&D than men.
I was going to say, Allie literally is playing D&D and I'm not right now. And I'm pissed about it. I'm freaking mad. Her and Kevin playing D&D with their friends. Just kidding. Kevin's not in it. I've just been talking about my stepbrother a lot recently, apparently on the podcast. So I wanted to bring it up. My other lesson is let your third roommate in on your games and bits. Like my third roommate, and you have 4 of y'all living there too. 2 doggies. Mine is, of course, my doggy. We got to let Bankston in on the bits, or else he'll start freaking out and try and protect Allie. And that happens whenever we're like listening to music and I start dancing, or like I pull Allie in for a spin and then Bankston gets in between us immediately. He's like, hell nah, not in my kitchen. What are y'all doing? So yeah, always got to bring in that third roommate in on your bits and games. Don't let them feel left out.
That's a really good lesson, though. That goes with dogs, and that goes with like freaking. Actual if you've roommates. Ever lived with 3 people, it's a big deal to like make sure nobody's in the dark. It's because you will end up in situations like that where somebody's gonna be mad.
It's like two of y'all are crossing streams and the other one's not, and then that'll blow up in your face. Oh, hopefully not in your face. That's. Let's move on.
I need a towel for that one. Gosh. So roommates and bringing roommates in. What is that? Your last lesson?
I'm shutting up. I'm playing the quiet game again. Ned, you talk.
You want to know my lesson on the show?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that bad to get beat up by a bunch of bikini babes until pinching starts happening. That's what I learned.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, it's not too bad. Not too bad to get them. I thought it was going to be terrible.
A hypothetical situation.
Totally hypothetical.
Like for all of y'all not in relationships and not married or engaged, like.
That was, I learned a lot. Learned a lot about bikini.
Learned a lot. Yeah. The things you see on TV, kids these days, man.
With their bikinis and their the underwear and the skateboards,
And their skateboards and their women not playing D&D.
No, we're not playing. Well, my not as deep as I normally get lesson is that make believe and silly rules games are, I mean, literally the best. And it's like, if there's anything out of our childhood that is probably the hardest to duplicate and the hardest that even the potential of like, I want to go pretend to be young for a day. We're not going to go play pretend scuba diver in the pool. We're not going to go play pretend G.I. Joe in the woods. Like, that is such a sweet part of growing up. And that's literally, I think if anybody mentioned what they remember about growing up, it's like these like they're like, dude, I just remember going out in the woods and just picking up sticks and playing Star Wars lightsabers, climbing trees. Mm-hmm. How in the world, that is an insane talent to have that kind of like capacity to play like that. And so,
yeah, I think we just get to a point where we're like, oh, that's not cool. Like I'm 30 years old. I can't be out climbing my tree in my backyard. My neighbor's going to think I'm a lunatic or something, right?
And
but
dude,
that's why you have kids. That's the reason to have kids.
I had one of my fun. And one of my coworkers say, we had like a company event. We all got drinks afterwards. So the whole company's there. I was talking with her. She's got 2 or 3 kids, all like young. And she's like, dude, the best parenting advice I could give you is for like 1 hour a day, play hard with your kids. Don't be there with your kids, like playing. Don't like watch them. Dude, she's like, play hard with your kids and like go in there and be like the imagination, do, the full toys, do the full creek thing, do the like, and I'm like, actually, that's what I'm looking forward to most about having kids. It's just like, totally escaping this world, getting back. And honestly, man, the thing that keeps me going even now, and I think what Adventure Time always like rejuvenates me on, is like being goofy and silly and making, I don't know, stupid, saying whatever's on your mind is like what keeps me young. So the little bit of Adventure Time that keeps me alive right now is that aspect of it. And now I just got to play more. Now I just got to go outside and play. I got to have more of an imagination.
Yeah, I mean, if you have kids, you can be climbing a tree and your neighbors see it and them not think you're a lunatic. I mean,
not think you're just an absolute loon. Or you can just be an absolute loon and not care what whoever thinks about it.
Well, hey, I mean, more power to you. In fact, I recommend that. I just, I don't know. I'm not capable of it. I just care what other people think too much, and that's my own fault. It's my own problem.
It's the adult mega problem, I'm sure.
Yeah. Ned, we have a trainer's log, a traveler's log.
It's a Pokemon
this is a
trainer's
Pokemon
log.
podcast. Yeah. We have a traveler's log this week. Could you please do that?
We have a wonderful traveler's log. I have not read it yet, so this is totally organic. I wanted to keep it organic for the moment right here. It's from Garrett.
Minor spoilers.
AKA DJ G Money, which is a good one. I like that one. And first traveler's log from DJ G Money. Hey, y'all, love the show. Also, I love the fact that you just use y'all. It shows that you're from our neck of the woods.
Yeah, but you spelled it wrong. Come on. It's Y apostrophe ALL. Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh. Come on, Garrett. I wanted to throw my hat in the ring on the Pahoy theories. Slight distant lands spoilers ahead. So again, if you're listening to the show, this is a good time to give a good
minor. I already read
40-second split. I think Finn's death in Pillow World gives a clue to why he saw Golb. As we know from the Distant Land episodes, together again whenever someone dies of old age is normally seamless and they go from walking around to walking in the dead world, but that doesn't happen in Pillow World. I think the kaleidoscope effect during Finn's death is Pillow World/Dimension's dead world rejecting his soul. Upon getting kicked out of the dead world, he is sent back to his own world through the ether. Unless I'm mistaken, Golb exists between dimensions, and Finn kind of just runs into him and on his way back to his dimension. I can't imagine people die outside their own dimensions very often, and that's why Golb was like, what the fuck, head turn. Keep up the great work, DJ. Dude, that is such a great theory.
I like it.
And
I like it a lot.
Such a good theory, though. Just especially with getting out of Fiona and Cake and Russell, you're ready to discuss these like multiverse theories now.
Sure. Yeah.
But that works really well. That again, Finn dying in Pillow World and then just being like, yeah, your soul has to go be reincarnated back in your own world. you know, it can open up a lot of different theories, but I think that's my favorite. I might house canon that, Garrett. I might house canon.
That's really good. Yeah, I like the idea that he's been kicked out because like he naturally does not belong within that Dimensions Dead world. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, Garrett. Well, that's our first Traveler's Log documented, where I think I'm going to keep that as
Ned's all
NEA
on board.
House canon.
Hell yeah.
I love that. Well, and that's what I love Traveler's Logs for. So please, guys, literally don't let us be the only voice that speaks to Adventure Time. Don't let the other podcasts, like I want this to be this collective community of we're all kind of rediscovering the show for the first time or the 16th time. So that's kind of the beauty of it all.
Yeah. Thank you, DJ G Money.
Great one.
Man, also, I mean, if y'all are curious about other ways you can join us or hang out with us or be a part of the podcast, you can always support us on Patreon. I mean, we bring this up about every episode. We've got $1, $5, and $10 tiers. But what's really cool going on right now on the Patreon that you're missing out on, if no matter what tier you are, as long as you're one of those 3 tiers, you can join our Discord, and we're going to do a watch party pretty soon. We just voted. We're narrowing it down. We're doing Studio Ghibli film. We narrowed it down from, I think I pulled like 14 different ones. We're going to vote on 4. And then we're going to do a watch party on the Discord and just hang out and try and start the movie all at the same time and just be chatting while we watch. And I think all of us are really excited for that. I'm super pumped to do that. And maybe we can bring that to like Instagram Live to make people even more jealous that they weren't a part of it afterwards, Ned. We'll see. We'll talk about it, but
we'll see. I want that to be a little bit organic and religious to the Discord people.
Yeah,
too.
That's true.
I don't want it to live on Instagram too much.
Deserves to be them, but regardless, if y'all can support us, there's another podcast on there, the NEA and Beyond, where me and Ned this week are going to be chatting about our favorite Nickelodeon cartoons. Mm-hmm. And I've got a fun way of doing this countdown, Ned. You're going to have to listen to me read a quote from the show, and you're going to have to guess. What the show is. Yeah. I've got 3 quotes for each show, and they get more and more obvious each time.
Oh, I love that. It's like
I should have told you to do it
like too. A trivia. It's like we're playing Tuesday trivia over here.
Yeah. So, and people can play along at home somehow.
People can play along. It's 5 points for the first one. It's
5 points for the first one. Yeah, add up your points and let us know if you miss. You got to take a shot. Instagram, we're there. And Never Ending Adventure Podcast. TikTok, Never Ending Adventure Cast. Twitter at NEA_podcast. Email us your thoughts, your opinions. Get on the Traveler's Log at NEA.travelerslog@gmail.com. Again, that's Travelers with 1 L, because I think that's the American way of doing it. That's just the way that I wrote it. Ned, I got a rec, I think, right in line with what we're doing with Patreon. Okay. This isn't going to get voted, but me and Allie watched 2 Studio Ghibli films this past weekend, both written and directed by Miyazaki, which is the main voice of the Studio Ghibli. Mm-hmm. But they were both dubbed. I'm going to recommend the first one we watched, which was 2013's The Wind Rises. Dude, it is freaking awesome. It is very slow moving. It takes a minute to get into it. But I think it's like the beauty of his films are like, you're just living in this world, and just like every shot could be, you could literally like stop it every like 2 seconds.
And it's going to be a poster. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, that'll be a poster. Yeah. That's what
I'm sure I've said that on the podcast before.
I'm terrible. I've not watched a lot of Studio Ghibli films. Yeah. I think we've really only seen Spirited Away, which is also just a bizarre one to start with.
Tough one to watch and digest the first time.
But what I got out of it is it was like, it seems like almost any one of these like stills could be taken and being like, this is just beautiful in its own artistic nature.
100%. So what's really cool about The Wind Rises, it's this genius kid who was just obsessed with aviation, obsessed with airplanes. It's set in the 1920s and 1930s, depending on where in the movie you are. And I think you could argue it's also like a little bit in the early 40s. Toward the end of the movie, but it's essentially pre-World War II Japan, and he is obsessed with making airplanes. That's all he wants to do with his life. So he goes out, goes to college for a university, and then ends up working for a company that's building planes. The only way that he is going to get to build this plane that he has in his mind is to do it for those that are funding the research and the building of these planes, which of course is the Army and the Navy, because World War II is coming and they're all prepping up. They're building up their resources. They go, we're way behind. They at one point send him to Germany to see like what the Germans are doing and kind of get an idea of how they're building their planes, because Japan hadn't evolved to metal for the exterior of the planes yet. And this is all based like roughly on a true story. I believe there's a real guy that this is based on.
Are you sure this is not World War I?
No, it's World War II.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it's I guess historical fiction. I could be wrong, but anyways, yeah, it's really incredible. I think what's beautiful about it is it's got the parallels of Oppenheimer, where it's like the creation is a beautiful thing. The like desire to fly has been in mankind for generations and thousands of years, to be up in the sky and defy gravity, and yet when it finally happened, when we finally were able to create this beautiful thing, it ends up being used to harm others as a new war tactic. And so it balances that really nice. I think Miyazaki does a really beautiful job of like not glorifying war, and also, like at the same time, this lead character is like way too focused on work and not focused enough on those that are around him, the ones he loves. And you get to see that play out in a way. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I really highly recommend this movie. If you haven't seen it and you love Studio Ghibli films, it wouldn't be the first one I would recommend or the second, but it's up there. Me and Allie have been talking about it this whole weekend, so we loved it.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones I could refer people to a bunch of things, but it's like I wouldn't do it as your first. But like once you like know you like it, it's going to be one of your favorites. Like once you're getting like ingrained in it, it's
a rewatch for sure.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, my recommendation falls. It's a little bit on popularity right now, but I had to like mention it too. But it's Fallout.
Okay. The TV show?
New Amazon Prime. Well, the TV show and the game, because like I'm a Fallout 4 player. I got into like open world games after New Vegas came out, but I played Fallout 4 in high school and college. I mean, I think I put 200 to 300 hours in, which is actually probably not that much time compared to how big just that one game is. But the Fallout universe started with like what they call a 2.5 dimensional game, but where you're kind of, it's 2D, but it's not 2D kind of. But dude, they did a fantastic job with the show of making it relatable. They made it funny. They made it serious. They made it very like TV MA, but also the universe is already created. So I'm like, this is about to be the best post-apocalyptic TV show that's ever been created.
Wow. Okay.
Because they've got 5 games worth of material to pull from.
And the games, are they known for their story, or is it?
They're known for the story.
Okay.
Like literally there's like 5
Because I know Last of Us is, but I wasn't sure if Fallout was.
Well, Last of Us is very linear. So it's like you play the game, that's the story. With Fallout, it's a lot of the choose your own adventure type. So you can side with the Brotherhood. You could side with the Minutemen. When you side with one faction, you actually go to war with the other. So there's about, like 100 different outcomes to the end of like each game. And each game loosely ties in with each other because one's in Boston and one's in Vegas and one's in LA and all this kind of stuff. So what weirdly, it's my rec because they did an 8-episode series that happens later, like in the timeline. It's like the later than all the games. And they're going to pull in references. And the writers are like, dude, we're pulling in everything that is in the games is canon to our story. So everything will tie together. And I was like, that is really, and I'm like, dude, genius idea. They just wrote 10 seasons of a show with literally like content that's already been created, which is really cool. But if you haven't watched it, like literally my wife had like watched me play Fallout before and then just was like, dude, she was way more amped about the Fallout show than I was. But go play it. Fallout 4 is a really fun one to get introduced to. Cool. New Vegas is great as well. From what I've heard, it's just a little older. Graphics are a little bit like not as good, but yeah. I hopefully there's some other Fallout fans out there too.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there are. I mean, Allie's mentioned wanting to watch it as well. I know it's a little creepy, but I'm going to give it a go. It'll be on our list. We got to finish Shogun, and
yes, that's our next one actually too.
Nice. It's pretty good. I've got another rant for another day. Maybe we'll talk about things we're into on another show.
Let's wrap this up. And I've been DJ Netty P, and this has been a good, fun time.
I've been DJ Russ T. And Ned, I mean, I'm going to mix it up here because I feel like this episode deserves it. Party. Woo!
That let you guys.